Call the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee to order, 10 o'clock Tuesday morning. Do we have a quorum? We have a quorum. Okay. First order of business then is motion to approve minutes from prior committee meetings. Is there a motion by Supervisor Sokol, seconded by Supervisor Garrity? Any discussion? Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. First is probation. Robert?
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
On our agenda, I have one action item. I have a resolution request to fill an upcoming vacant senior account clerk position. Pam Mayday, who's been with our department for 21 years, is retiring May 30th. Her job entails the collection of restitution in our department and the disbursement. Pretty much on an annual year, we collect about $150,000 in restitution and disperse that to victims. So there's quite a bit of business with that. A lot of checks and balances, financial records, and those type of things that go with the collection of money. Her position also accounts for the collection of DWI supervision fees, preparation of financial documents for my department as well as the Division of Criminal Justice Service, and she also acts as a receptionist for the department. So we would request permission to fill.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Moved by Supervisor Garrity, second by Supervisor Simpson. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, called the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. I have nothing more in terms of resolution. The only information I have, which is limited, is on raise the age. Really nothing that's transpired since the last time we spoke. The state was supposed to send comprehensive financial documents to the county so the county could plan what their financial needs would be across the departments that is affected. That was supposed to come out after the budget was passed in April. We're knocking at the end of May. It still hasn't come out. They say it's coming out soon. So when it does, I'm assuming it'll be sent to the county administrator, and then it'll be transmitted to the departments to fill out with their request or what they believe their needs will be for raise the age based on data that we already know that will be provided. So that should be coming soon. We're going to be in June, so that will be coming soon. Detention, I'm sorry. So on that raise the age and those requests, is that the state going to fund those things that we put down? And to some degree, yes. They've always indicated to be 100% reimbursement and be no cost to the county. I think their stance has changed a little bit, but we'll see. I think what they're looking to do is to indicate or put out an application and have the counties respond to what they believe their needs are going to be. For instance, probation department, how many positions would we need? How much money would we need for programs? I have an idea of what we would need. They're going to base their numbers on, their decision on numbers of 16 and 17-year-olds that have been arrested, for instance, in 2017 or 2016. The state, DCGS is driven by data and driven by numbers. The State Department of Budget is driven by what they think it's going to cost the state. So it'll be interesting to see. My guess will be that it ends up someplace in the middle. I'm sure that I can say this confidently, that they probably will not give us what we think we need. But we'll see. I haven't seen it, so I'm not going to speak until we do. So we'll have the opportunity to fill that document out. We'll send it back to the Division of Criminal Justice Services, and then they will indicate what the reimbursement is. Is there an opportunity for give and take? I'm sure. So I think it's hard to say until we see what it is. But I think that probably there's won't be exactly what we think it's going to be. Thank you. And the other things I have on this, we talked about detention extensively. There's nothing really new on detention. Not going to be anything new. There's not going to be any more beds that are going to appear across the state. There's a detention summit for secure detention on June 6th in Rensselaer. I went to one in April. They've invited me because we had some type of interest early on, or we explored it with the Office of Children and Family Services. I don't think it hurts to go to gauge and see what's going on, because they're talking about ways that they can expand their capacity with the 6 or 7 secure detention facilities within the state. So it doesn't hurt to be a part of the conversation and see what's going on, and I will bring that information back. But again, there's a limited amount of detention. That's not going to change. We'll have to see what our numbers are across those bridges when we come to them.
Because that could be one of the biggest costs of the raise the age.
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
Sure. Absolutely. And the last thing is there's what they call the results-based accountability for county justice leaders, June 30th. Information was sent to Ryan. I know he sent some names in from Probation Department, Social Services, County Attorney, District Attorney. What the state is looking to do is to gather county leaders for 2 days, talk about data, talk about the continuum of services you have within the county, how you collaborate, how you make better decisions. So basically you're using your resources effectively. I think what this is probably an anticipation is we have no place for detention, so we want everybody to think about how you're not going to put these kids in detention. That's my guess. But we'll go and we'll see. So that's all I have on that. Right. And like I said, that document, I would assume, should be coming relatively shortly. Talk about that next.
Good, thanks. Thanks for this organizational chart. You're welcome as well. Very helpful.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
We'll now move into Public Defender. Marcy?
Thank you. I do have a request to go into executive session to discuss a personnel issue.
Okay.
If it will be permitted.
Motion by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Diamond to go into executive session to discuss the employment history of particular individuals.
Should I say on behalf of...
And we will now call up the Sheriff's Committee.
Yeah.
No, we do that. There's a-
No action taken in executive session.
Sure.
Morning. Morning, Sean.
On our action agenda, item A is request a resolution to amend the county budget to reflect money from insurance recoveries in the amount of $24,818.28.
Motion, bring that to the floor. Okay, Wild and Driscoll.
Included in that amount, just so the committee is aware, is the insurance recovery for the UPS system up on Prospect Mountain. So hopefully our out-of-pocket cost should only be our deductible of $500.
That's great. Good, thanks.
Item B is request a resolution.
Shall we take a vote on that then? So,
Just a discussion, just a quick question. Mr. Chairman, thanks. Sean, where does this money go? Back into your budget? It goes back into a general fund?
That's actually a very good question, because there was a resolution that we went through the board last week, moving money out of contingency. I spoke with Deputy Treasurer Rob Lynch last week, and I said, where should this money go? He goes, put it in your account. If the money contingency, we'll just move it back over. So I don't want anybody to think we're doubled. I think if the money was already put over, this money will go back to the contingency.
And Rob is gonna,
Rob, yeah, I spoke with Rob about that.
not here. Okay. Thanks.
call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion carries. B.
Item B is request a resolution to amend the county budget to reflect monies to receive from the New York State Department of Homeland Security Emergency Services 2017 statewide interoperability communication grant in the amount of $550,861.
Okay, moved by Garrity, second by Sokol. And this is a 2017 being received in 2018 now.
Yes,
And you've included here your budget that went along with that.
correct.
Right there.
That's a synopsis of what the budget is.
Okay, so you have a plan of action to implement now.
We do.
Good. Call the question then, if there's no other discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Item C is request a resolution for a new contract with Great Escape Six Flags, whereby we provide police services to the park.
documents?
C&D, please, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, moved C and D by Sokol. Is there a second? Garrity, Supervisor Garrity on second. Okay. Bring us forward. On that, the hourly wage for Six Flags.
$56.50.
And that covers you well enough with things?
Whether it's a junior officer or a senior officer working, that covers their salary. Obviously, with a junior officer, that's well above what they actually make.
Okay.
So it covers our expenses.
Because I see that Wells Communications charges $92 an hour and $142 on any overtime. I got to thinking, are we covering ourselves well enough on it? But are you satisfied
Yes.
with that? Okay. Okay, call the question. Oh, yes. Supervisor Bremer? Yep.
How does this 10,800 compare to what we were paying in the last contract?
Supervisor Bramer, we've been paying $10,800 for as long as I can remember. They haven't raised our rates over the last 4 or 5 years.
Thank you.
Any further questions? We call the question. All those in favor of C and D?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Under topics for discussion, item A, we currently have 6 vacancies for the position of correction officer. 1 is due to a promotion, 5 are due to resignations.
Any questions on this one? Well, on these resignations, are these corrections officers moving into a similar position on that, Sheriff?
Yeah, a couple of, I think the majority of them are. We do have 2 of those that were on probation, that resigned on their own. They weren't going back to probation, so
Okay.
they left.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
Most of them are transferred to the state.
Is there a big differential in pay between the state and here?
They do pay more.
Yeah, there is enough for them to, I guess, travel and be subject to going anywhere in the state.
Okay. And you have a list to pull off of to fill these positions? You're good?
Item B, we're currently in discussions with the North Warren Central School District, the Queensbury Union Free School District, Lake George School District, and Bolton School District to provide SROs to their schools. I also want to update the committee and perhaps seek some guidance as to how you want to proceed. At the last committee meeting, Supervisor Bramer inquired what our additional costs might be for insurance purposes. And we've done an inquiry on that, and it's just about $2,500 per person per year for liability insurance. And that is something that obviously is a cost that's going to be borne by us right now. So the question for the committee is, knowing that it's $2,500 a year for that extra liability insurance, coupled with the cost of equipping these officers, which is around $4,000 to $5,000, is this a cost you want us to pass along to the school districts?
So why not?
Yeah.
Personally.
Would you get pushback from that, Sean?
That would be up to the districts how they want to come up with the money.
I don't think we get pushback. When we initially talked, I told them the cost would be $30,000. So some of them have already budgeted that quickly. Luzerne, as you know, is already doing this. They have 2 officers over there. They budgeted the money for $30,000 per officer. So a lot of these schools didn't budget the extra. Beecher at Luzerne, I told him, after the fact, that's when we started. His feeling was, whatever it is, we'll have to pay it. People want this, we have to. So we haven't contracted with the other schools yet, although it's coming really close. They've already brought it to their budget. So they only budgeted for the certain amount. How we're going to get with that, I don't know, but we're going to lose the interest.
Right.
My feeling is this: it's something that the public wants, that the school district wants. So whether they pay it out of the school district money or out of the county money, to me, I'll do whatever you guys want, but to me, it's what that's.
Okay, Supervisor Wild, then Bramer.
This is, and Sean, this is a hot topic, and I'm curious what we're doing in terms of planning, if you can talk about it. with this? I know we've talked about active shooter, but it's been so much in the press, and it's so heartbreaking to see this stuff occurring. What kind of advanced planning are we doing?
Every school district is required by law to have an emergency action plan. We have all their blueprints on file with us, as well as their actual emergency plans. We've recently started providing active shooter training to the school districts, whereby they pick a date and time. Investigators Gildersleeve and myself go up. We provide the training to their faculty, to their staff. We've done Hadley Luzerne. We've gone up to Lake George. Johnsburg was supposed to be done next month, but they lost a day because of the snowstorm, so we're going to reschedule. We're going to North Warren in September to train them as well. The officers themselves, one of the things that Queensbury has brought to the table, if you will, is that they're offering to help provide additional training that's more school-oriented for the officers, not just the officers that might be assigned to their building, but any officers that we have that are part of this program. And that's certainly something we're going to take a look at and probably take advantage of.
And just, Sheriff, if you want to go ahead, but I do have a follow-up question. And it's all related to what would you like to see us do, right? So the schools are doing something, but how much of that is driven by our experience and what we think is best to do versus what the school is thinking it's best to do?
I think that's a good question, but I think this program was started because it was an idea that came from the sheriff's office. I mean, this was an idea that I proposed to them 5 years ago after seeing the book. So as far as the training, we're doing the training now, we're doing the activity training, we have experts on it, and we're certainly going to work with each school. So the goal was to let each superintendent know that because of what we do in Queensbury and Luzerne, you may not want to do in Bolton, so we're going to leave it to the superintendent to decide how he wants to use those officers, and we will construct our contract to fit their needs. So we are doing the training, and it is something that we could lead role in Warren County to do. I think we're the first ones in the state to start this program with part-time officers. So it is something that we think needs to be done. I mean, it seems that there was another shooting in Texas. So it's scary. Can it happen here? It can happen anywhere. If it can happen in Sandy Hook, it certainly can happen anywhere, and I think you need to plan for it. In Lake George, too, we had another meeting last weekend, and regarding the training that Sean and the people from the emergency response do regarding active shooter, they asked me a question, and Sean, I don't know if they brought this to your attention, but they asked me a specific question about that training. They really enjoyed the training that they got from the undersheriff and his people. Their superintendent's question was this: if we have parents who want this training so they feel better, would you do it? I said absolutely. So Lake George is thinking of pushing it out to all their parents. Anybody wants this active shooter training for them, or because their students are in school who will give it. So I haven't heard back from them on that.
So just again, could we do more, or should we be doing more as a county to kind of push this?
I think this county, you already approved us going into Luzerne, we were first to do it. I think this county is doing well, what we're doing. Again, you've heard all the schools, we got 4 or 5 more schools that want to get on board in September. We need to work together, whatever those costs may be. If we have $4,000 or $5,000 extras that we didn't put into it, I think if the county and the schools want it, we should equivalent about $4,000 or $5,000. Let's figure out who's going to pay it.
Supervisor Brennan.
Thank you. Yeah, I think our county is doing an excellent job. As I said before, though, I think that this is a school district decision. I mean, Hadley Luzerne is a lot different of a district geographically and the way they're set up than Glens Falls School District. We're, in the city, we're doing different things. We have a different action plan. We have our own security protocols in place, and I think that the decision needs to be based in the school district, and that should also take into consideration the cost. The cost of arming those people and the cost of the liability insurance, that should be based on the school district. So I do think that we should be asking them to reimburse the county for those additional costs.
Supervisor Simpson.
My question was just, little information about, so the $4,000 to $5,000 down for an officer. What happens if somebody retires? Is their equipment reissued, or
Well,
retired equipment?
Specifically,
Got to buy all new stuff?
the guns can be passed from one member to another member. The body armor, if the person is the same size, obviously the body armor can transfer. There are some one-time upfront costs, like a radio and a gun, and the uniforms. Really, I think the biggest ongoing cost is going to be the liability insurance, because that's going to come back every year. But we hire an officer, and he's there for, say, the school district keeps him there for 5 years. We might have to buy him a couple new uniforms over the course of 4 or 5 years, but that's really, the biggest cost is going to be the insurance.
John, so I understand it, when you were working with me on the cost of the insurance. You're telling me that the $2,200 or $2,500 for the insurance is the same as we pay for a full-time officer? There's no...
I didn't ask whether it was different from a full-time. I explained to her exactly what it was. It was for a part-time member. If the committee isn't aware, every year I have to fill out a basically self-reporting survey as to how many armed peace officers we have, how many full-time police officers, so on and so forth.
Okay.
Just had
Supervisor?
one. I just wanted to ask about the uniform. Will it be the same uniform?
Yes. Yes. You wouldn't know whether it's an SRO or the guy that's working the zone up there.
Okay. Supervisor Braham?
It's my understanding, though, that a school resource officer is a particular type of officer that is trained in this particular scheme of things, like working in a school, not to say that the county sheriff's officers can't do that job, but will they be receiving that training as an SRO?
Yes, I can respond to that. I've reached out to New York State Department of Criminal Justice Services in regards to SRO training, and they currently don't have any SRO training that's certified by the state. They did give me some leads on some agencies that are bringing outside people in to provide training, and we're going to pursue that. The closest one to us right now is out in Rochester. But at least we're going to get the information. And as a follow-up to your question, we interview the people, and the best way I can explain it is just because somebody was a good police officer on the street doesn't necessarily mean he's the best fit to put into a school. The person has to be able to go into a school, build relationships. That's one of the biggest things for us, build relationships with the staff, the faculty, the students. We can't have somebody in there that's looking to enforce all the rules in the school. They have to work with the school on their level.
That's one of my biggest concerns, is that we'll start seeing, like, enforcement rates going up,
Yeah,
and criminal
no, that's not the
prosecutions
goal.
of things like that don't really, that's not what they're in there
That's not
for.
the goal. The goal is to work with the superintendents, how they want to utilize. In my mind, for me, in my mind, I got grandkids still there, it's safety. My main goal is safety. They're there for safety. Now, we're going to do what the school wants us to do. And again, each school superintendent, I talked to the Bolton superintendent last week, he wants to be involved in the interview process, and we've already doing that. We don't want to send an officer into school that the superintendent doesn't feel comfortable with. And he's also going to take it upon himself. He asked the question, should I advertise for the position? I said, please do, because we foresee we may not have enough applicants for this position, because everybody wants 1, 2, some are talking 3. So he's going to also advertise on his website, but they're going to have to come through us back to him. So that's just another avenue for us to get more qualified applicants. But we want the superintendent to decide what they want for their school district. Like you said, Glens Falls is different than Johnsburg, and that's how we're doing it.
Supervisor Diamond, did you have something? No. Okay.
I guess we're ready.
Yeah. Supervisor McDivitt, then Supervisor Conover.
Yes, they actually provided us with an outline of what they foresaw, and it was based what was going to happen during the month of September, October, November, things that they wanted to incorporate with their officers. And when I spoke with Superintendent Huntley and Deputy Superintendent Gannon, they'd indicated we were welcome to send other officers to attend that training as well.
What's the objective?
It's basically so that they have a clear understanding of what their role is going to be in that district. I don't know if everybody's aware of this, but in schools they have people that are trained in how to restrain people. And unless you've received this training, you don't go hands-on with the student. So, that's one of the things they're going to talk about. We have to make sure that the expectations we have of our officers are the same as what the school has. You got to be on the same sheet of paper.
Supervisor Conover?
Yeah, I mean, I think the guidance, I think that we should provide on this is that it started out with the school district would pay the cost. And, should there, in the first year, should there be some type of issue, amounting to what, a few $1,000, I don't know that we should necessarily not have protection because of that. I think that if it's a startup situation, if something should arise and ends up this year costing us a few $1,000, I think we can bear that to make sure that the schools are properly protected. And then that can be incorporated later on. They have budgets like we do, they have contingency accounts, they have fund balances just like we do. But should something arise for the people that are doing this in the startup mode, I think the guidance should be, within reason that that we understand that we may have to cover a few $1,000 here because something's not budgeted or something was missed or something like that.
Okay, Supervisor Donovan?
I don't disagree with that thought at all by the chairman. However, I just want to make sure that everybody is on the same page when we look at the city of Glens Falls. We're talking about the Glens Falls School District, we're talking about St. Mary's, we're talking about Abraham Lincoln, we're talking about Broad Street School, we're talking about Sagamore School. All of these school districts for areas all of these schools will probably be looking for some sort of officer in place, and just so everybody has an understanding that the county is willing to expend monies for liability insurance and the startup costs. Probably we should pass a resolution supporting every school district. And one thing you may want to consider in this dialogue is preschool. What about preschools that want, for kids that are going to preschool, that may want officers to provide protection? I think we have to consider those too. So if we're going to do this, I think we need a generalized resolution including all school districts within one county.
Under
BOCES, everything that is an educational
a resolution to include
where
what?
there are students, whether it's 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, preschool, elementary, middle school. If we're going to do that, we need a unified resolution from the county willing to support those expenses for startup costs.
Okay, resolution to support startup cost expenses. Supervisor Dibble?
My kid's registered. I don't know if any kid is.
But we have to
Can't
consider
support
that
it.
when we're talking for that's my point.
I think you would consider that, absolutely. That would be my perspective, to absolutely consider that. I will have you know that Glens Falls, any of those schools have not contacted me. I know they've been in contact with Glens Falls PD for those types of things, but they haven't with me that I know of.
But they may.
They may, and we'd be more than happy to cover that.
And I'm not opposed to that throughout Warren County, providing appropriation in the sheriff's budget with those expenses. Based on the theory of reimbursement, correct?
Yes.
And that would require, if we go through reimbursements, agreement, signed agreement with the school districts,
Yes.
so we're guaranteed everything.
Yes, and we have 2 of those in right already.
Okay, Supervisor Thomas.
As a budget officer, if these are unforeseen startup costs that on a one-time basis that can be fine. These are school expenses that needs to come out of the school expenses.
Right. Okay. What's in front of the committee right now on any of this then? Do we need to take any action at this point in time? Can it wait for another month? As these requests come in, is this a problem we need to solve
I
today?
think for you folks in charge of communicate that this is on the reimbursement basis, but should there be something that is unforeseen that we can't envision sitting here today, that they're not able to deal with for one reason or another, I think that, better provide protection and we'll deal with those issues as they arise, and the budget officer is absolutely correct on that. And I would imagine after the first year, all of that, whatever might surface would go away. We would know exactly what the program is and what it's paying for.
Is there an appropriation or contingency in the sheriff's budget to cover these expenses going forward from now until the budget process?
Well, I'll leave that to Sean, he's my money guy, but I believe we have enough to get started up with the schools that have sought to do it so far.
What about the schools that may decide to come on board after the fact? How are we going to handle it, Sean? Do you have money appropriated in your budget?
Currently, no. We don't have monies appropriated.
Oh,
I would be pulling from different various codes to make this happen.
and are you willing to do that, or do you need to appropriate monies from fund balance into an account?
Jack, I think that's premature. Why don't we wait to see what it is, and then we can make the transfers if needed. I mean,
Well, I'm not so much asking you to move the monies today, but I'm asking you to figure out how you're going to handle it when these other school districts decide to, if they decide to come on board.
well, I think you heard. I think it's been clearly stated that if there's an unforeseen expense, at least for the balance of this year, until they do their budgets for next year, the county would try to work with them to pick up the cost. That's what I heard everybody say.
There's only one school district.
So,
And they said they would be willing to cover the $4,000 or $5,000 difference, so I think so for this year, it's not a problem.
I don't have a problem.
Okay,
So we can cover that in the budget
Okay.
process, yeah, sure.
good. Then let's move on to the next. If there's anything more you want on
No,
the SROs.
I don't know if Supervisor Diamond's aware, Glens Falls, and speaking with Chief Lyman about it, they're doing something different down there. The district asked for one full-time officer, and that officer is to do a multitude of different things, but actually move between the school districts, or move between the actual physical schools down there. So it's different than what we're doing. Item C is the Warren County SPCA discussion about their contract. You'll notice in your packet, there was an RFP. Please ignore that. That was not the most current one, but I handed out a second one. It's the most current provision.
I'm just gonna hand these out so we can discuss later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Does she need one or no?
Yes, we do.
One for you. All right, so hold on. I'll get another one. These are two different. Oops, sorry about that. Geez, I'm breaking everything here, Craig. Get me away from you.
Too much coffee there, bud.
Yeah, not enough.
Head down, Fred. There you go. It's round two?
Round two, yeah. Two different, you're looking at two different things here. One is just dog calls, the other is animal call, all other.
Thanks for the simplified format, Jeff.
Yeah. Wait, you haven't seen that one yet. Which one? This one? All right, I got one copy left. Sure. Chairman ranks it.
That's all right. Was that the budget officer?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about that now.
Go ahead, Sean.
I know we spoke yesterday, Chairman, as to what action the committee wishes to take. Brought some documentation with us today to show calls that have gone through our office. On that paperwork the sheriff just handed out, he moved columns all the way over to the right. You'll say, was the agency notified? It'll indicate who the agency was, whether they responded or not.
Thank you. And to bring the committee up to speed right now, what we have before us is a contract that has been let by the county for $100,000 to one agency without having gone through the Warren County's purchasing and procurement process. And back in January, the contract was extended to go until June 30th. And because there was no other, did not want to leave services off for this. As it is now, and we can have Purchasing Department Director Butler speak about this as well, where we stand with this contract. So, and maybe can I have you speak to this contract specifically and where it stands in our purchasing and procurement? And are we above board on this, or where are we?
Well, as far as an extension beyond June, you would not be able to do that in compliance with purchasing policy. At $50,000, we're already over the max, the threshold for an RFP. Our threshold is $20,000. So, I mean, I don't want to speak in place of Mary, but as far as the purchasing policy goes, we would be in violation if we extended anything prior to releasing RFP and
Okay. Okay, so that's where we are. We are out of compliance already once this year, and this is due to lapse. In the meantime, Purchasing Department has pulled together with a work group an RFP, and that's what is in your package that Sean has provided here. So, Supervisor Bramer?
Thanks.
Supervisor Wild?
I was part of the working group with Supervisor Beatty, and we went around and around and around, and what we came up with was, Julie helped us look for other contracts or RFPs that we could use throughout the state for animal control services, and it turns out there aren't any other RFPs in the state like this. No other county offers these kinds of services the way that we were doing it. So we had Mary look at what are our legal obligations at the county, and primarily it revolves around investigating animal cruelty and abuse cases, and then handling cases involving rabies, which we know last year, if you remember, we had the Department of Health. Our Department of Health is now contracting out with individual people to do the rabies investigations. So Supervisor Beatty and I, it's our opinion that we should just be contracting for the animal cruelty investigations, and that the RFP should reflect that those are the primary services that we're looking for from an outside contractor. I think Julie has worked very hard on incorporating some of the minimum qualifications that the sheriff is looking for from this type of contractor. And the only thing that I will say, Julie, is that on page 2 under the minimum qualifications A, I don't think we need someone who's experienced in dangerous dog handlers, because that's not a service that we're looking to obtain from the contractor.
Well, I would mention that if you're going to have, if you the county is going to contract with anybody who's going to do animal abuse investigations, you're certainly going to want someone who knows how to deal with dangerous animals. So I don't know what that training is. I haven't got a clue what that training is. But you don't want to send somebody, like I showed you the picture last week, of somebody going under somebody's porch to help deliver a baby from a mastiff who's trying to kill him. You're going to have somebody who is knowledgeable and has the expertise to deal with that animal, to help make that animal safe, to help deliver those babies. So I don't know what that entails, but I think you need some sort of training to do that. You can't just hire Joe Schmuck off the street to go take care of a dangerous animal.
Well, that's true.
Julie?
It also doesn't have specifics about
Maybe
what
Julie
that
has
training has to
something,
be.
yeah.
They just say their experience.
Can we just change dog to animal to cover that?
Sure.
So any dangerous animals are part of an investigation? Would be covered?
Yeah.
A dangerous dog does have a specific legal definition to it. On this one, it's more of a functional use, where you need to be able to control a situation. Okay. Supervisor Conover, then Supervisor Wild.
So this bid, this request is for more than cats.
No.
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 Cats are, well, this is for any animal prevention or animal abuse and cruelty prevention other than contracts covered by the town. So the town contracts cover dogs, well, actually any domestic and farm animals. So this, and I put this right, that clause right in here, that this is for anything outside the scope of the ACO to the town or their contract.
Supervisor Wild.
Two questions. Julie, this hasn't been published, so we're waiting to publish it this weekend?
We were waiting until this meeting to
Okay.
get the writing changes.
And since we need to get a decision by the end of June, I see you have a proposal due on the 21st. Is that enough time for us to get a decision made and acceptance done by the end of June?
No, there's going to be a lapse in the contract.
So there's going to be a lapse, so we will have no services, and the sheriff's department will have to do the best they can? Is that what the thought is? It's going to happen on June 30th or July 1st.
That's what's going to happen.
And
Yeah, but
there
is that what's going to happen, July 1st?
Yes, that's what's gonna happen.
All
That's
right.
what happens every day, other than other days we have people
Okay.
that we can deal with the ACOs in each town,
Correct.
All right.
we do contract with. I would assume if we call Jim's group out, you have to charge it per diem or whatever it is you charge if we have to call them.
Okay, all right.
And that's what you have this for. You can look at the number of calls that go to the ACOs in the towns and the other.
So my second question in regards to what was just previously discussed, it involves everything but what handled at the town, but each town is different, is it not?
No,
And I guess, to kind of continue that thought, do we have to reference these town contracts so that whoever's responding has a way to understand what their scope is?
Supervisor Bramer?
It's not everything under the sun. This is animal cruelty investigations. It's a specific criminal complaint that could be brought in by ACOs in the town, or could be brought by the sheriff's officers themselves if they see something. It's not to go get, it's not necessarily to go help puppies be pilfered. Or get cats out of the trees. I wasn't going to say
Leave that to the
that.
sheriff, he'll climb that tree.
And this goes back to what is the obligation of the county in regards to animals. And cruelty is the number one issue that we are responsible for and would need to be able to cover for about the next 3 months. And some of this is done at the town level, the animal cruelty. I had asked for a report on how many cases have come
You
before
have
the, no, sorry, I didn't get it from the VA. Do you have
Oh,
it?
from the DA?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you wanted from us to do the calls.
So, what do
We
you have?
can explain this to you at some point if you want.
I think, what,
We've done discussion, folks would be more than happy to explain.
yeah. Please go ahead.
I brought Larry. Is Larry still here?
Right behind there.
you. From what I understand, we have two reports here. One that you see, animal all other. These are animal calls for wild animals, cats, anything, deer, bear, that's not dogs, okay? You see that form? And you have another one that says animal calls. Those are just dog calls. We clear there? So you have two different sheets, one for just dogs, and the dog call is one of 6 pages, and the animal all other is one of 4 pages. Okay? And I'm going to have Larry explain to you the columns, so you can at least get in your mind what happened, who did what, when. Larry?
Hey, Dave, this is, I think, we're just going across the blue bar that's here. First column is the call for service, it's just a reference number in our case.
Let's go with animal dog first, Larry, okay? So everybody get your animal dog one.
That's the one of 6.
Actually, the column should match. Call for service number is the first column. Second one is the date and time of the call. Third column is the address of the call. Next column is the primary unit that was assigned. Next one is the shield number of the primary officer. Next one is the agency that handled it or was dispatched to it. The next column is SPC Upstate New York, and it's a 2-part column, notified and responded. Yes, yes, we notified, yes, they responded. The next column is SPCA Warren County, same thing, yes and no, notified, responded. And the last column, probably the important column in that, is who actually handled the complaint. But who actually handled it. You'll see in there that on some calls, it might be a deer that was struck by a vehicle, the officer went, and the deer was dead, the DPW was notified, the state DOT was notified, and the animal was all of it. So the last column is pretty much what you want to be around.
I think what you can garner from this is who responded and who went with them, who didn't respond, and generally look at the times of the calls. Whether it's a town animal control officer, whether it's the SPCA that's contracted by the county, we get all those calls. Sheriff has to go to all those calls, so we either go or we have a state trooper or a Glens Falls PD that goes. So that's what you were asking for, Craig. You wanted to know. This is not going to stop, folks. Whether we contract with anybody or not, this won't stop. We will still be figuring out how we're going to handle the complaint. So that's what hopefully you can garner some information out of that and maybe some questions that'll arise. If you have questions when you're, looking this over, we'd be happy to answer those questions, even later today or tomorrow, whatever.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
Sheriff, I see that there's a dog-related calls. Upstate wasn't contacted very often. Seems like the SBCA of Warren County. Who made the decision who to contact, and what was the basis of that?
Larry?
Actually, the agency was notified to fix that location of the call.
It's their contract.
I thought the town had
Not
contacts.
just the town of Queensbury has Upstate, and the city of Glens Falls has Upstate. The rest of the towns have either their own animal control or they've contracted with Warren County SPCA.
Okay, so any dog call in Queensbury should probably have gone to Upstate, right?
Correct.
No.
Upstate
Larry?
SPCA would have taken those calls, I believe, as of April 1st. That's when the contract changed.
April 1st. Okay. And Larry, if you get a call from Glens Falls, you contact Upstate because they have the contract. Right. Yes.
Yeah, people in our dispatch knows these rules, and they know what they're supposed to call.
So, yes, Claudia.
Julie and I were talking about this, about making sure the public knows. We should have somewhere on our website, here's who you call for what, and maybe that'll start filtering out some of these calls that are coming to 911. I'm assuming these are 911 calls.
I think we end up with a lot of them anyway, because sometimes they'll call it another number, and they'll say, well, we don't cover that, or we don't cover this. And I try to tell them, and I spoke to Supervisor Strauss, sent me an email. I told them if you had any problems with that, bottom line is they shouldn't be getting no response. Let us know. We'll figure it out.
Right. Supervisor McDevitt?
I just had a question relative to time of recovery.
Can you speak up, please?
Is it 7 days a week, 24 hours a day? Is it just during normal business hours?
For what?
Dog control service.
buck, we get the calls 24/7. Some of the animal control officers do not respond 24/7. Most of them don't respond 24/7. Warren County SPCA responds 24/7.
Supervisor Driscoll.
Thank you. I've got a quick question for our purchasing director. Under the minimum qualifications, in my 5 years on the 5 months on the board, I've read a lot of communications, whether they're authentic or relevant. I'm not here to discuss those, but when we receive bid proposals, do we also request copies of appropriate certifications, accreditation, credentials of staff members of various organizations?
Your question is about the ordinary promotions to do, or?
Back up.
Because you do have that as a requirement.
So that they have to make photocopies of, I know when I've applied for positions, I've had to show a copy of my college diploma and that type of stuff. Are they required to make copies of appropriate accreditations? And
They are, and if they have additional qualifications or certifications that they want us to consider, then I'd ask them to attach that as a
Okay.
sheet to your proposal.
Okay. Supervisor Conover?
Yeah, I would recommend that before we go deeper in the weeds on the request for the proposals, that the issue of the expiring contract be dealt with for whatever 60 or 90 days, whatever's going to be required here, bringing them to service agency online. I mean, it would lead me to the following question. Is the existing provider prepared to go month to month? Did we even discuss that with them? Do we want to?
I had discussed that with the county attorney, and I'm sorry she's not here today to see what can be filled in at this point in time, which would be legal to do as far as the county is concerned, and to be able to provide service for the sheriff department during this interim period. Sorry we do not have an answer on that at this point in time.
Yeah, I think that's vital. What we can't do is we can't time up our law enforcement for a certain period of time because they have no one involved. So that would
And I had also asked the DA's office for how many animal cruelty cases come before us in a year, so that we can make a decision based on, over the next 3 months, what could we expect the sheriff department to be called upon for the animal cruelty cases.
It's going to be one of three things. Either we continue the existing contract and we get them to agree to provide the service on a month-to-month until we get to a new contract, or we go out for a quick turnaround RFP for whatever providers we can identify in the area and get some quotations, or we can't do anything. And I find that last option is completely unacceptable. So it seems to me we're down to two options. Either we continue the existing contract until we get to a new contract, or we go out for an RFP, a quick turnaround on an RFP for some services that fall within the public bidding, right? Falls within the public bidding, right? Take us over the next 90 days. It's one or the other. And I think that needs to be decided, but before the end of, before we find ourselves time confused, we should don't know who's called.
Yes, the question has been put out there both on how we can fill in on more the as-needed basis for things, so which would be perhaps a way to go on this interim. Supervisor Brayman?
Just looking, I'm trying to, certainly it is concerning if we have nothing. I'm looking at the call log, and it looks like for 2 weeks of May, the Warren County Sheriff's Office responded twice. This is on animals, all others, so I'm assuming that's stuff that would be covered under the new contract. So I don't think we're talking about an enormous caseload.
What are you referring to?
Just quickly looking, dividing out May from the animal all other sheet, and then handled by, well, no, I'm missing, okay, so
May
a
is
couple.
not finished yet, but yeah, that's what you're saying. May, if you're looking at May, it's at the top.
1, 2, actually, if you count also what the Warren County SPCA covered, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 calls.
It's either us or Glens Falls PD or New York State Police that responded.
Right,
Both
but that
of those
won't
things.
change.
No, that's not gonna change.
Right. Yeah. It's very
So this column will go away. Well,
Supervised
Chairman,
Sokol?
is Mary on vacation, or is she just not here today?
She's at a conference.
Can we, I know that action needs to be taken, but can we do an out-of-committee resolution to move this forward? I mean, obviously you need, 48 or 72 hours to do another meeting, but we have two options. If Mary can either email us those options, we send our request in, or and then do an out-of-committee resolution to get this moving. That would, because we could sit here for, I mean, we're already an hour overdue, so.
We have until the end of June to pick up any particular service. Right?
I'm sorry, I thought it had to be done by this next board meeting.
So, with board meetings and things like that included, but perhaps there is a ratify it, if an action is taken kind of thing. It should be a simple one. Supervisor Diamond?
Chairman, thank you. The RP calls to be returned on the 21st. Is there any reason why we couldn't conduct a meeting to make a recommendation to hire beginning of week of June 25th, reconvene a meeting and make a decision at that point in time, so there isn't such a lapse of time on the award process?
I'll direct that to Director Butler. The timing on this was...
You're going to open up the RPs on the 26th. You're going to review them on the 26th. Is there any reason why we can't reconvene on the 21st? Reconvene on the 25th and make the award, so it's not such a lapse in services going forward?
Well, and technically, I won't be reviewing or evaluating the proposals. That's typically done by the department. And
Okay.
So you want to give yourself enough time to do that review. Can it be done? Absolutely. We can do anything as quickly, as the board's willing.
Okay.
And I could even shorten.
Timeline on the return of the RP.
Right, but that,
Being the concern of the because of the concern of lapse of service.
right, the reason we have RFPs out of one review is to give the vendors an opportunity to give us a complete and thorough proposal.
How many vendors do we look to send this out hopefully?
There's not two major, and then, we'll try to find as many
Okay.
as we possibly can.
So that would be a recommendation if the board chooses to do that, that we review the RPs on the 21st, or move that up, advance that following the return process, and then convene shortly after that and make a decision on how to award it to them.
Is that more of an internal decision, or does that have to come from committee to direct the timeline?
It doesn't have to be voted on by the committee. I mean, I can do whatever the committee wishes to do.
That's going in front of the full board.
Eventually, contracts do come in front of the full board.
RP
Yeah, just to award the
does the RP have to go in front of the full board? No.
Not
It's just the award of the contract.
Okay. So, in front of us right now today will be the question, do we release this RFP? Is that anything that this committee needs to give its blessing on, or as purchasing director, you're allowed to let it?
I can let it. If you choose not to proceed with the award, then at that point, this is not awarded the contract.
Yeah. Okay, so you can go ahead. Is there any objection to county letting this RFP?
My just thought is, if we need to get something, we'll be in some kind of violation, it sounds like, at the end of June, if we don't have a contract made.
No,
We can't go
won't
month to
be.
month.
We're already in, no. This,
Is there any
rephrase that.
sense of trying to speed up the process so it can be in front of the full board on June 15th?
I don't think that's I don't think what's in front of us right now is the RFP. Shall it be let? Any objections to it?
No.
No. Okay. Do you need any formalized blessing for that? No. Okay. So that then goes out. Okay. So we're good with that. Now, as far as expediting when it returns,
You're gonna miss
Supervisor.
the meeting's not till July. So you're gonna go, there's gonna be a lapse in service. Is that what you're asking? Yeah, there's a lapse in service.
there's a lapse of service.
That's
You're gonna
okay.
extend it or you don't.
Okay. So
30 days.
now that's the next question before us.
It
Shall
should
we
only take
read-
a couple minutes.
But I think we need,
Yeah.
weren't we gonna wait for our attorney to give us some advice about how to do it properly?
Correct. Correct.
So, well, we have until,
End of June.
I'm looking at my calendar, we have.
You're an attorney, come on, give us your opinion.
The purchasing agent already said. Anyway.
I do not.
Right,
Yeah.
you're intensive.
This is we basically have a contract with Warren County SPCA that is out of bounds of our purchasing policy. Has been and is at this point in time. If we are to continue that contract, to extend it to a date further than June 30th, we will also then be out of compliance with our own rules. So as it stands now, Sheriff?
So what I hear you saying then is that when you contracted with the SPCA, whatever years ago it was, you did it wrong.
Correct.
You've been doing it wrong for 2 years or 3
Correct.
years, and now you're worried about a month.
Correct.
You're going to do it wrong again. Just extend it till you figure it out what's another month or... Why are you getting so antsy with the rules now when you broke them the last one? That's what I don't understand.
Come on, Sheriff, I can use that
Did
excuse.
I put that right?
Exactly.
Sheriff, can I use that excuse with your team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always driven this fast.
I was driven this fast.
Everyone else does it.
Yeah.
Whichever team you want to approach me on.
What's the committee's?
I go to extend it 30 days. I want to be a rule breaker.
Okay, then I'll have,
I'll
is
make
that
a
a
motion.
motion?
I'll make a motion
by
to extend it
Supervisor
to July
Garrity, is there a
31st.
second?
No.
There's a second by Supervisor Simpson. I'll call for a roll call on that, discussion.
Can I have some discussion?
Yes.
What about the option of a per diem thing? Does that get us away from violating and still have some?
But you gotta put out presentations for per diem.
Yeah, not for per diem person.
And Supervisor Garrity, is there a time, a duration on this?
July 31st.
July 31st.
What was the resolution again, please?
Because our meeting will be July, or make it the night of the board meeting. We can all agree. Whatever the board meeting is in July, right?
July 20th.
That way I'm only partially guilty. Give me
Okay.
a cell.
I'm half guilty. I'm second.
Grilled cheese
Okay.
for you.
So there is a resolution on the floor to continue the contract with Warren County SPCA to July 20th. Okay, and there is a second on that. I call for a roll call. Let's go down the line. Are we ready to vote? Supervisor Bramer?
No.
Simpson?
Yes.
Driscoll?
Yes.
Garrity?
Yes.
Diamond?
Yes.
Sokol?
Yes.
Wild?
Yes.
Leggett? No. Okay. Motion passes. There. So,
So what?
Ain't double
contract
bunking.
extended on for another
Not
month,
double bunking.
2.
No, me either.
All right. Any other business to come before the board this time?
Marcy, we got a real Marcy.
Thank you,
Supervisor
Chairman. Last week, there was an article in the Post-Star regarding 911 services, quality services, extended services throughout the country. I would like to know where we stand in Warren County as far as ultimate quality of service we could provide. And if we have not achieved that, what I believe we need to have a plan as to how to achieve it. club guys to do, and everybody wants to achieve ultimate quality system for our 911.
Okay. Have there been any complaints on it here in the county, Supervisor Loeb?
That's important. We'd like to know where we stand, and if we haven't, I'm complaining. Okay? May I?
Yeah. You can.
Can I respond to that?
Yes, please. I'm sure.
What's your complaint?
What's your complaint? There are some places in the country, so when someone calls 911 with a cell phone, there's a delay. I don't know where we stand. Do we meet all the possible capabilities? So that if someone calls 911.
Chairman,
I want to know if we have all of the bells and whistles. Larry, do we have all the bells and whistles that we're supposed to have?
Chairman, I can respond to that.
Thank you, Undersheriff.
In some counties, 911 calls alternate between one agency and another agency. In Warren County, all 911 calls, whether wireless or hardline, come to the sheriff's office. There is no delay. The only time there might be a delay is if you're in an area that doesn't have cell service. You may have to wait till you get back into an area that has cell service. As I believe the committee is aware, we were recently reaccredited. We're one of only 12 or 14 PSAPs in the entire state that have reached this high level standard. We constantly...
2 months ago?
It was a month ago or so. It's we don't sit on our backsides. We're constantly putting new technology, new computers, sending our members to training. So I think we provide an incredibly high level of service.
Yeah, and I understand, I appreciate your question. I understand what you're saying, because, the general citizens don't understand what sort of technology we have in the 911 center. I know it, but I don't understand it like Larry understands it. That's why I wanted to clarify your question. Do we have what state-of-the-art 911 centers have across the country? I believe we do. We have the entity and the alley, which I don't know what it is. It's for self-service. We have most of that equipment. We've upgraded to most of it, and I know we're staying on top of it. Is that it?
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, Supervisor Simpson and Supervisor Garrity.
I just want to say, Horton is really close to the Essex County border, and it works somehow. If you're over that border, it goes to Essex County. If you're in Warren County, it goes to Warren County on its cell phone. It works very well. I've dealt with it several times.
Real quick, Bill, I think our biggest concern is the lack of broadband and lack of cell service. We have a lot of dead areas in the county. It's not getting any better. And the state has told us everybody would be covered. It's not happening. There's a lot of areas in Warren County. If you're in the metropolitan area like you are here, good. You go to Luzerne, Brer, Warrensburg, pretty good in town. You go outside, there's no cell service. Thurman, no cell service. It's an issue. And whatever you can do with your Democratic governor in New York State, we appreciate the help, because we don't have cell service. That's a big concern, because so many people rely on these. You're up where in our area, you're not going to communicate. The radio is still the one that you're able to communicate with the dispatch center. The cell service, no. It's not very good, Bill.
Well, I'm pleased to hear about the 911 stuff, and I'm all for if we can't, if the governor do it, and you've got to start. I just want the answer about the bells and whistles for 911.
Okay.
How to deal with it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any more for the Sheriff's Department? Hearing none, we'll close Sheriff's Department. We will bring back Public Defender.
Thank you for your
Thank
time
you.
in executive session. At this point in time, I have 3 resolutions in front of you, and I'd like you to accept the 3 resolutions I have put in, which is to accept a resignation from an attorney in my office, and then fill the vacancy, and then when she is moved up, fill her vacancy, and then to fill the open vacancy. Okay?
I'll
Okay.
move that resolution.
Moved by Supervisor Garrity, second by Supervisor Simpson. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Okay, are we going to...
Opposed? None? Motion
Got a
carries.
question, Mr. Chairman, please.
Are we going to do each vacancy independently?
I have put them in as a group is what I'd like to do is, and so if that's how I put it in, so I would like it that way, if possible. And again, it's the call from the committee.
That's for personnel.
Yeah.
Okay. Adjourn Criminal Justice Public Safety Committee.
Thank you very much.
Supervisor Sokol, Supervisor Wild, all those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I appreciate what everybody else.
Adjourned at 11:42.